and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, my kitchen looks nothing like it did before, and I am so happy about it. What I did is a peel and stick kind of wallpaper, or I guess it's called a contact paper, and I used it throughout my kitchen in various areas to make it look brighter, more inviting, and just homier for me and my family, and we love it. If you know anything about me, or if this is the first time that you're tuning into one of my videos, my name is Kimberly. I am a mom of 4. I also have a full-time job, and I have a husband who works full-time. So we are all on a budget, and we are making sure that we can afford the things that we want, but also doing it smart. So with this, I think I spent around $86. It is all 100% rental friendly. So I did check with my landlord before I made any of these changes to make sure that it was okay, and it was. So we went ahead and did it. I think it took about 3 days for the whole entire process. We struggled a little bit. So if you've never worked with contact paper, it's not easy. The YouTubers make it look super simple. It is not. And so I don't want to lie to you. I don't want you to make you think that it's going to be a super simple job that you can do it by yourself, because I would not recommend you doing this by yourself. I would definitely recommend getting some help. So shout out to my best friend and her fiance for coming through and helping me out, because I so appreciated it. I have clips of the whole entire process that I will go ahead and put in here, as well as small little tips and tricks throughout the whole thing. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what we did. Okay guys, so first I wanted to start off by telling you what you're going to need for this project. You're going to need your peel and stick, obviously. You're going to need a credit card or something to smooth out the surface as you're pulling the paper back when you're putting it onto either your cabinets or your countertops or your backsplash like we did here. And then you're also going to need some scissors and an X-Acto knife or some type of crafting knife to where you can cut, because once you get it into a certain area, you're going to want to cut it apart from where it's at. This is what the littles were doing while we were busy in the kitchen, just sharing some food. This is my son, Ronan, and then my friend's daughter, Ayana. And they were having a great time while we were in there. The next thing you're going to need is something to clean the countertops and the walls with. We didn't get this in this shot, but we do show it later on the countertops. This is a very important part, because you want to make sure that your surface is completely clean of any dust, dirt, sticky, anything like that, because your peel and stick won't stick the way it's supposed to. It'll also create a lot of bubbles. So after you clean the surface, then you're going to put your peel and stick up to the very top of your cabinet or wherever you're doing it. Make sure that it is lined up where you're wanting it, and then you basically start pulling the paper from the back and smoothing it down as I'm doing here. When you get to a place where you're having to add your new piece of peel and stick, it sometimes is a little bit difficult to make sure that everything is matching up. I got lucky with this type of brick because none of the bricks on the actual peel and stick lined up the way they were supposed to, so it all looks really, really good. Whenever you put them next to each other, it kind of just went all seamless. I think it looks great, but it depends on what type of peel and stick you're working with and what type of background or some type of material. If there's any type of dots or anything you have to match up, that could be a little bit more difficult. But if you work with it, you take your time and be patient, it is possible.
Okay, so as you can see here, he just basically cut around the electrical outlet. I let him do all this because I know nothing about that and I was too afraid to do it. So, but that's pretty much all we did all the way around. I didn't videotape the whole thing because it got very repetitive and I didn't want you to have to keep watching it. But now we're going to go ahead and start on the countertop. I will tell you that right here we made a mistake. We should not have put it on the top first and then made it go down to the bottom of the counter. We should have done the countertop and then gone up. And we actually did that throughout the rest of it, but we did learn our lesson here. And that's pretty much what you're going to run into, is just finding something that works for you. A lot of different counters are going to be made differently and it's going to be a lot more difficult. So just kind of work with it. And like I keep saying, and I will keep preaching it, just take your time and be patient, because it is not something that is going to go quickly. Alright, so we got the sides up. Like I said, we did learn our lesson, and then we started putting this part down. We did have a couple big bubbles that we had to work with, and so you'll see me pulling it up several times to kind of work those bubbles out, and that's all you have to do. If you get into a situation where you've already laid everything down and you don't want to pull it back up, you can take the X-Acto knife or the craft knife and just poke tiny like pin-sized holes and just kind of work the air bubble out, and it will eventually work itself out. So that's basically what we were doing here. I was just kind of making sure to pull down the paper and smoothing it out, and then, you know, if I pulled up the paper a little bit to get a bubble out, that's basically what we did. Alright, so the first part is down. Now we're going to put the second part of the peel and stick on top of it, and the wood design made it pretty easy to match up. Just basically put it side by side, and so we did that here. And when we got to the bottom of the cabinet, or the countertop, we just cut it with the X-Acto knife to where it was not folded under. Normally you can, but the type of countertops we have, it would not stick, so we just cut it off. Okay, so for this, Tabby just cut off a small square for the little edge right here. No matter what we did to try to cover that, it was not going to work, so we just ended up kind of putting it together like a puzzle. It worked really well that way. It'll be a little bit difficult to get off because it will come off in different pieces, but I think that it is probably the best bet in the long run. So at this point, I decided to let Corey and Tabby do the peel and stick for a little while I worked on the faux shiplap wall. This is a Dollar Tree DIY. I think I spent around $4 for the whole entire process. All you need for this is a poster board, or two, depending on how big of the wall you want to do, or the section of the wall, I should say. Poster board, the black Sharpie, a regular pencil just so that you can make lines, as well as give it a little bit of a dimension. Here in a little bit you'll see that. A ruler of some sort, and then I used command strips to stick it onto the wall so that it wasn't going to damage anything. And so right now I am just marking every 3 3/4 on the poster board to put where the lines are going to be. Alright, so here is what I was talking about, the pencil. You're going to add some dimension. All I'm doing is coloring on the line and around the line, and then rubbing my finger on it to give it like a little bit of a shadow. That way, whenever you hang it, it doesn't look like it's just the poster board sitting there. It actually kind of looks like there are boards without putting boards up. I know that this kind of seems silly, but when you put it up, I think it turned out great, as well as the rest of my family. Alright, so here's what I was talking about. Corey is just spraying the countertops with some Dollar Tree kitchen degreaser, and it worked so well. You do have to make sure that you get the surface very, very dry, otherwise the peel and stick will not stick to it. But we did a pretty good job, or he did a pretty good job at cleaning and getting everything off before. Alright, so here I'm taking the command strips and sticking it to the back of the poster board and then sticking it to the wall. I think I used a total of like 6 to 8 command strips. I just wanted to make sure that it was sticking on there really well. Here is where it definitely comes in handy to have a second pair of hands helping you, because especially when you're trying to cover a large area like we were here, it just makes it so much easier when you have help pulling back that piece of paper and helping spread down the bubbles. When we were trying to pull the top up, we realized that if you put the bottom down first and then kind of spread it up, you get all of the bubbles up at the top and it comes out a lot easier. So you can see that here. What area in your home do you feel needs a facelift? I mean, something that is just bugging you, that you feel like you could just do something to it to make it better. I know that for me, it definitely was my kitchen. I just was not happy with it. There's no natural light. I just could not deal with it being so dark in here, especially when I'm doing videos. So that was definitely mine. But what is yours? Just tell me down in the comments. I wanted to make sure to show this real quick. We cut this at an angle so that it would look like real wood. When you put countertops together, you don't put them as a straight slab, you cut them in the corner. And so we wanted to make it look as natural as possible. Also, if you see the stuff in the background, there is some that I put down before just to kind of test it out, but I did not like it. Alright guys, so here's a quick shot of the before and here's the after. I absolutely love it. It looks so much brighter in here. Like I said before, I have no windows, no natural light whatsoever, so this just really brightened it up, and I am in love. It was a little bit harder than what I thought it was going to be at first, but it was so worth it in the end. And the faux shiplap was just the poster board, and you can't tell. I absolutely just feel so much more at home in here. And so guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that it's going to give you some type of inspiration to do something like this to your own home. Don't be afraid to venture out on something that you're scared to do like I was, because like I said, it is totally worth it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.